Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. It's your buddy Boogeyman Ben here for another episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. And today is Friday the 13th, so happy Friday the 13th to all of my fellow fiends and subscribers, everyone that decided to check this video out. Since I've been doing Friday the 13th related videos for a long time now, going on probably 6 years of doing these, I thought I'd do something a little bit different this time, talking about my favorite horror film franchise of all time. Something that I've never done, and that is going to be talking about the hottest ladies of Crystal Lake. And I hope everyone looks forward to this. Please stay tuned. So for this list of the hottest women of Crystal Lake, I thought I'd break it down into two categories. So I have final girls, and then I also have a breakdown of victims. So I have 5 and 5. So 5 final girls, 5 victims. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to toggle back and forth between the two. So we'll start with the victims, the ones that didn't make it. So number 5 on my list is going to go to Tiffany Helm, who played Violet in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. This was the first Friday the 13th film I ever saw in the movie theater. So I was about 10 years old. I was about 2 or 3 weeks shy of turning 11. My mom took me to see this, and at the time I was a huge Madonna fan. I had just seen, like maybe a few months prior, the Borderline and Lucky Star videos, and just thought Madonna was gorgeous and absolutely was infatuated with her. And the fact that Tiffany Helm resembled Madonna so much with the type of makeup and her hair and her clothing and the jewelry that she wore, I was really drawn to that character right away. But I also love the fact that Tiffany Helm is a great actress, and she really brought a lot of feistiness to Violet. And also, she's a talented dancer. I mean, the scene leading up to her demise in the film is probably one of the most interesting, because it's not the typical stock and slash kind of scene. It's it's done where she's in her room dancing, and she's doing this very specific type of dance to this song by Pseudo Echo called His Eyes, and it's just the way that she's dancing is just so interesting, and it's to the words of the song and just how she's moving and everything, and I just really love that, and just it just brought so much more to the scene, and I think she just did a fantastic job. Now on to the final girl. So number 5 on my final girls list is going to go to Danielle Panabaker, who played Jenna in the reboot. Now, Jenna's character didn't make it all the way through the film, but she set up like the final girl, and that's why I kind of included her in this, because I really liked the Jenna character. I really liked her interaction with Clay. I thought that was so natural, and like you don't know what to expect of her at first, but there's this real empathy towards what Clay is going through, and I really thought Danielle handled that weight really well. She's also great at sort of keeping Trent at bay and kind of ignoring his advances. I just really think she did a good job of conveying her disgust with him when she comes to find out what a sleazy character he really is. And I was shocked by the fact that she got killed the way she did. And I think it was really a great setup in the film, because you really think she's going to make it through, and then when she doesn't, it's shocking, and she plays the scene really well. It's really a painful scene to watch because you really like the character, and she's really such a good person. And she's one of the most heartbreaking characters to die in the series, in my opinion. I really think that Danielle Panabaker deserves a lot of credit for the weight that she brought to the character. I think she just did a great job in the film. Okay, going back to the victims list, number 4 is going to go to Tracy Savage, who played Debbie in Friday the 13th Part 3. I've had a crush on Tracy Savage since the first time I saw Friday the 13th Part 3, and I was probably 9. That Friday the 13th Part 3 was the one I really remember really becoming a fan of the franchise, and I watched that film on HBO during the summers. And I just remember, I just thought that Tracy Savage was beautiful. And I just watched the film recently, and still, she's just gorgeous. I don't know what it is about her, but I also think she's a very natural actress. I really love her performance. I love the interaction with Jeffrey Rogers, who played Andy in the film. I thought they had a very believable romance. I also think she's a very tragic character, because she's like one of the only victims in the franchise to have been pregnant. The character was pregnant when she meets her demise at Jason's hands. She's a very tragic figure, but I think Tracy Savage just did a great job in the film. And she has an amazing nude scene in the film, the shower scene. I thought that was good. It reminded me a lot of Psycho. I think there was little hints of Psycho in that scene. But she did a great job in the film, and she's number 4 on my list of victims of Crystal Lake. Okay, now we're going to jump back to Final Girls, and number 4 on my list for Final Girls of Crystal Lake is going to go to Jennifer Cook, who played Megan in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, which is my favorite Friday the 13th film. And Megan is just an ass kicker. I just love her in the film. She just is somebody that, as soon as you see her when she walks into the sheriff's station talking to her dad with her friends, you just know that she doesn't need anyone to define who she is. She is a tough woman. She holds her own. She is an independent, and I love that about her. I love that she doesn't take any shit from anyone. I love the fact that she goes. I mean, she's brave. She goes to try to save the kids. When Jason breaks through one of the cabins of Crystal Lake with all the kids in it, she goes up there to try to save the kids. She doesn't need anybody to protect her. She's tough. She helps Tommy get away from the cops. I mean, there's so many great things about the Megan character. She's sexy, but it's not just about her being sexy. It's about her being, just her own person. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to the character. And she's one of the first Friday the 13th Final Girls that I remember really just being drawn to. She just was amazing in the film. For Crystal Lake victims, number 3 on my list is going to go to Juliana Guille, who played Bree in Friday the 13th reboot from 2009. She's hot. She is a gorgeous woman, and I still think her sex scene in the film stands out as one of the best in the entire franchise. I know there was some really kind of cheesy dialogue with Trent where he keeps talking about that she has got great nipple placement and her tits are stupendous, which is goofy and funny, and it's just silly, but she's just extremely sexy. I love the fact that she's a manipulator as well. You see how Bree manipulates all the men in this film, particularly Trent and Chewie. You think she's just kind of a side character, one of the victims, kind of just, she's going to just be one of the ones that gets taken out. But then, because Trent and Jenna aren't really connecting, and that's who he wanted to be with when he went up there, you see how Bree kind of moves in and sort of tries to take the attention off of Jenna and make it about her, and so that Trent is drawn to her. And I just sort of, that it shows that she knows how to control a man and knowing how to take what she wants. And I just really thought that was really well executed by the actress. For Final Girls, number 3 on my list is going to go to Melanie Kinnaman, who played Pam in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I really love Melanie Kinnaman, and I think she did a fantastic job as Pam. I've heard in interviews that she's not crazy about her performance in the film, but I think she was great. And like I said, this was the first film I saw in the movie theater from the franchise. And the character of Pam, there's several things that really work for me in terms of defining who she is. Number one, she's in charge of this group of kids. These kids that have had horrible lives, that have had a lot of drama and strain in their life, that have caused them to have to be in mental asylums, and then in Pinehurst, where they're kind of trying to get them to a point where they can go back out into society. And she's responsible for them. And I really got that sense of that she cares about all of the kids at the Pinehurst Institute. And I really love that about her character. Also, she's a fighter. She goes toe-to-toe with Roy with the chainsaw, and I just love the fact that she's a fighter, and she does such a great job holding her own against Roy. I just thought the scenes with her fighting back against him, she never gave up. And I think she just does a great job in the film, and I've always loved the performance because she has that maternal side, she has the fighter side, she's also very attractive, and I think more credit should be given to the work that she did in this film. Going back to victims, so number 2 on my list for hottest Friday the 13th victim is going to go to Judi Aronson, who played Sam in Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. I've had a crush on Judi Aronson for as long as I can remember. I saw her in Friday the 13th, Final Chapter. That was the first thing I ever saw her in, but of course she was in Weird Science. I've also seen her in various, movies and television shows. One of them being 90210, which she did a spot on when I was in high school and that show first aired. But she is just such a beautiful woman. And the other thing I really like about her acting in the film is you see an arc to her character in the film. When you start with Sam, you know, she's kind of just got this arrogant cockiness about how she sort of has this control over her relationship with Paul. You know, she knows that men are drawn to her. She knows that she can manipulate men if she wanted to, but she's got Paul under her grasp. That's pretty much, she is in control of what's going on. And then as the story progresses, and the twins are introduced into the film, and then at the party that they have where Paul decides to go and dance with one of the twins, you see Sam tries to get his attention, and then when she realizes that she can't keep his attention, that he's going to dance with somebody else, that he isn't focused on her, you see that the vulnerable side comes out, and you really, I think it's just a testament to how strong of an actress Judy Aronson is, because you really see that she is vulnerable, that she's not always in control, and that's what prompts her to leave and leads up to the death scene that happens where she's in the raft in the middle of the lake, which I still think is one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the film. And I think she just did a fantastic job in the film all around. Number 2 for Final Girls is going to go to Adrienne King, who played Alice in Friday the 13th Part 1 and also had a small part in Friday the 13th Part 2. I love Adrienne King. I think she's amazing. She's just, there's something so adorably sexy about her in the first Friday the 13th film. I don't know what it is, but she's just great, and I absolutely love her. I think she does a terrific job in that film of not only playing the victim, but also playing a fighter when she has to go toe-to-toe with Betsy Palmer at the end. And again, you know, Adrienne King was going up against a very seasoned actress in Betsy Palmer. But she holds her own. You really feel her sense of panic and dread when she discovers that all of her friends have been killed. The fight with her and Betsy Palmer on the beach is still, I think, one of the best fights in the entire franchise. She just, it really feels down and dirty and hardcore, and there's no like special choreography or anything. It's really it's just a brawl between the two ladies. And I just love Adrienne King. I think she's fantastic. And I was sad the way that she went out in Friday the 13th Part 2, but, you know, it's like, I still feel like she is a final girl that survived. She survived the struggle, and she beat Mrs. Voorhees, and Adrienne King did a fantastic job in the role. The number 1 in terms of the hottest Friday the 13th victims is going to go to the woman that still makes my heart go pitter-pat, and that is Deborah Voorhees, who played Tina in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I've had a crush on Deborah since I first saw the film. Yes, she has probably one of the most infamous nude scenes in the entire franchise, and she's just a knockout to me. I think she does a great job in the film. I mean, she doesn't have a huge part in the film, but the scenes that she is in, I think she does a great job as the character of Tina. But, you know, I was a young man when I was a young boy the first time I saw this film. And probably that was one of the first real big nude scenes I had ever seen, and I was just fell in love with Deborah, and I still put that as the greatest nude scene in any film ever made. There's a song that dropped last year by a group called Wolfie's Just Fine, and it's called A New Beginning, and it talks about this scene. And it talks about this kid watching this scene for the first time. And the lines in that song is just so fantastic. And if people haven't like heard it or seen the video, I'll put a link down below so people can check it out. But the lines in that video, in terms of what this kid experiences watching that scene for the first time, pretty much is exactly how I felt watching that scene for the first time, is that I wanted to save her. I remember feeling that way the first time I saw the scene. I wanted to save her, and I think it's almost like a protective feeling that I have when I watch the scene still to this day. I have a crush on Deborah. Luckily, several years ago, I was able to reach out to Deborah through Facebook, and we've been friends ever since. And it's an amazing honor to be friends with someone I've had a crush on my whole life, that I can remember. I mean, I've had a crush on her since I was 10, so it's kind of crazy. But she's one of the sweetest people I've ever had the honor of knowing and speaking with, and it just means so much to me that we are friends. And but yeah, she is still for me. Even though I know I still have one more person to talk about on the Final Girls list, but in terms of actresses in the Friday the 13th franchise, Deborah will always have my heart. Don't know what it is about it. It's not just about her being nude. There was a vulnerable side to her that drew me to her as well. There was a vulnerability where as a little kid, I was always trying to be there for people and stick up for people, and I still am like that, but I wanted to protect her, and I think that's where it comes from. It's not just about her being nude in the scene. It's about me wanting to protect her. And I just remember that was like one of the big things for me watching that scene as a little kid, and that's why that song and that video plays so much. And it must have been, it wasn't probably just me, because somebody else had to feel that to write that song. So I'm wondering if like more people felt that way, and why this scene in the 5th film of the franchise is so memorable, and why people talk about it still to this day. And for Final Girls, so the final girl, number one final girl for me in the entire Friday the 13th franchise is going to go to Amy Steele, who played Ginny in Friday the 13th Part 2. I think Amy Steele is just fantastic in this film, and she just has some tremendous acting chops. She really has to hold her own in this film, because again, she's going toe-to-toe with Jason, the first final girl to go toe-to-toe with Jason. And I had the honor of meeting Amy Steele about 5 years ago, and she's just an awesome person. And I've always been drawn to her character in this film because she's so intelligent. She knows how to sort of play on Jason's emotions by tricking him in the scene in his shack where he thinks he's talking to his mother, because she's able to manipulate him in that way. And I just think it just shows what a strong character she is. She's able to outsmart Jason, which a lot of people haven't been able to do in the franchise. And she, she's just amazing. And I absolutely love the character. I love her performance. I'm glad that Amy Steele did a couple of other horror films, most notably being April Fool's Day, which is another film of mine that I absolutely love. She's just great. So for me, she's always going to be the best final girl of the entire Friday the 13th franchise. So that is going to be it, my fellow fiends. Like I said, this is my opinion, but I thought I'd break this list down a little bit differently in terms of like final girls and victims. But again, this is my top 10 of the hottest ladies of Crystal Lake in the Friday the 13th franchise. I'm curious what everyone else thinks of my breakdown. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everyone. And as always, thanks so much for watching Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy, stay scared as always. Peace.